So Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is the third installment in this surprisingly successful, surprisingly good Sonic movie franchise. In this movie, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles are all living their life with Tom and Maddie. They're all this big, happy family. All seems all well and good until a new Hedgehog appears, Shadow, who is voiced by Keanu Reeves. He's been awoken from this like frozen hydro chamber of sorts, and he's pretty pissed off with some shit that's gone wrong in his past, and now he's out to exact vengeance. This was a movie that I got a lot more excited for as time went on. I mean, I enjoyed the first two Sonic movies. I mean, I, like everyone else, went into that first Sonic thinking it was going to be terrible, especially when you saw the character design. Even when they fixed it, I didn't think it would be great. But even still, went in, saw the updated character design. The movie itself was enjoyable. So was the second. So I was hoping, could they pull it off with this third one? But the two things that really won me over with this movie in terms of my hype for it was, one, Jim Carrey was revealed to be returning as Dr. Robotnik because, you know, the ending of Sonic 2 made you wonder if Robotnik was still alive. And, you know, there was also those reports from Jim Carrey that he was done acting, he was retiring from Hollywood, so really made you wonder if he was going to come back at all. But no, it was revealed he would in fact be returning for Sonic 3, and he is back in this. And then the other big thing that won me over was not just that Shadow the Hedgehog was going to be in it, but that Keanu Reeves would be voicing him. I mean, to me, on paper, that just sounds like absolutely perfect casting for Shadow. I mean, I always thought for the longest time, like, Hayden Christensen would have been the voice of Shadow or something like that, because I really thought Keanu would be a pipe dream. Like, that's, of course, what everyone would want, but I never imagined it would happen. But it did happen. The trailers looked great. I started to get a lot more hype for this movie as time went on. And what we got here, I gotta say, I think this is the best of the Sonic movies. First of all, yeah, let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. We were all hoping for Keanu Reeves to be the voice of Shadow, and he's perfect as that. That's something I really gotta give credit to these Sonic movies. When it comes to like the actors they pick to voice these characters, they've nailed all of them. I mean, Sonic and Tails, their voices have been perfect for them. I mean, the one who voices Tails, I believe, has voiced Tails for a very long time. But when it comes to the voice acting for Knuckles and Shadow, it's fantastic. I mean, Idris Elba as Knuckles in Sonic 2 and here has always been great. But having Keanu as Shadow, it just perfectly encompasses Shadow. So yeah, gotta give the movie respect for literally crushing their voice actors for these characters. But it's not even just that. What makes Keanu the perfect voice for Shadow is such a damaged, broken character. And that is what this movie really does a great job of illustrating. It's what makes Sonic and Shadow kind of polar opposites in that sense. Like on one side, Sonic found love, he found a family, he found friendship. Shadow is someone who has lost literally everything. He maybe had that at one point, but it was taken from him. It kind of shows right there. It's like you have these two hedgehogs, but the paths they went down and what, you know, fortune ultimately gave both of them caused them to split into the directions that they went into. And yeah, seeing how Keanu has played characters like John Wick, who have literally been these badass people who have lost everything, he was perfect for Shadow, and he really nails the pain that's in Shadow and the anger that's in Shadow. Is Shadow the antagonist of the story? Sure, but he's such a broken character that you can't help but feel for him. And yeah, Jim Carrey is back not just as Dr. Robotnik, but as Gerald Robotnik, Dr. Robotnik's grandfather, so he's essentially playing two characters. And I am so happy that Jim Carrey's back in this movie. I love Jim Carrey. I've been a big fan of his for a very long time, and now it kind of feels like these Sonic movies are the only way we're ever gonna see him. But once again, he's great in this movie. He channeled into that 90s Jim Carrey vibe that made him so famous, that made him one of the funniest people ever, and he loves playing this character. You can tell he's having fun here. Plays the perfect cartoonish villain for a Sonic movie, and I love seeing the way he plays two different characters here. Because on one side, he's playing the Dr. Robotnik that we know, who's this, you know, menacing, not really menacing, but the evil goofball who's the perfect adversary to Sonic. And this one, he plays Gerald Robotnik, so he's playing off the whole grandfather-grandson dynamic there by himself. But with Gerald Robotnik, you see someone who's definitely a lot more malicious in their intent, has a much more, I would say, definitive goal in what he wants to do. how he feels his grandson and Shadow can assist him. Made for a really good dynamic that was played by one character. And that's credit you gotta give Jim Carrey. And yeah, the action, the visual effects, I think everything is done very well here. I mean, it's great seeing Team Sonic in action. It's great seeing them all play off each other's abilities and strengths and, you know, encompassing for each other's weaknesses. Because that's what I love seeing here. It is the chemistry between these characters, because now that the three of them are a team, you really do see how they're learning to work together. Makes for a funny dynamic, and it makes for a really fun montage of action. And that's what I also say. The movie, when it wants to be funny, is pretty fucking funny. Definitely has its moments where they definitely milk a couple jokes a lot longer than they should, or they maybe go for more silly humor at times, but that is where you remember, this being a family movie, there's obviously going to be some jokes that are meant to cater towards the kids. But credit's where it's due. When it wanted to make the older audience laugh, it did that. I will say though, the middle of this movie was definitely the weakest link for me, because in the beginning, you see more of Team Sonic in action, you know, Shadow escapes and he's causing his mayhem a little bit. But the midpoint is where the movie does undeniably drag down a little bit. I think it's because we have these new characters and they're trying to provide the backstory and, you know, the reasoning behind why they are, what they're doing, and everything that goes with it. The problem is, not that I don't appreciate it, not that backstory isn't necessary for these characters, but they do, I think, drag it on a little too much. It kind of reaches the point, it's like, okay, I get what they are, I get what's happened with them, but it's like, I think we can speed it up a little bit more. Probably could have shaved a good 10 minutes off of that, and the movie's runtime wouldn't have felt as affected by it. I wouldn't have felt like this movie dragged as much as it did. But I'll also say this much, the movie is surprisingly darker than the other Sonic movies are. I mean, in this one, you feel like characters could be a little more at risk. You feel like not everyone's gonna get out of a situation in one piece. It goes that extra mile that I think the other Sonic movies didn't really as much, and I appreciate that. And yeah, the final act of this movie, I'm gonna tell you right now, final act of this movie is fucking awesome. You've heard reviews out there say like this is the closest we will ever get to a live action Dragon Ball movie. And frankly, as someone who was a big fan of Dragon Ball growing up, I can attest that's probably true. It's great action, the stakes are high, it's unbelievable seeing where the characters are at. And yeah, just some stuff out there that's undeniably, if you're a Sonic fan, is gonna get you completely blown out of your mind. And even if you're like me and you're not like the biggest lifelong Sonic fan, you're still gonna watch it and you're gonna be like, yeah, that's undeniably pretty fucking cool. Also, yeah, I'm sure you noticed by now, there are a couple post-credit scenes. Both of them are great. Both of them tease that we got more Sonic coming in the future. And frankly, I'm cool with that. I mean, the movie's absolutely crushing Mufasa at the box office right now. The movie's gonna make, I think, enough for itself to get a fourth movie. And frankly, if they can keep this team together and they can keep bringing out these movies and these good ideas and these just fun times at the theaters, I hope they continue to do it. This Sonic franchise truly has become one of the better success stories in American movies now. So all in all, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is exactly what I think every fan of these Sonic movies would want it to be. Team Sonic is awesome. Jim Carrey is Dr. Robotnik and General Robotnik, awesome. Keanu Reeves is Shadow, awesome. The action is great. The humor, when it wants to hit, is very funny. They do drag some jokes on a little longer than they should. I wish the pacing in the middle of the story was a little bit better. I wish they trimmed a little bit of the backstory back that they could have trimmed back. Visually, it looks really good. The action is as much fun as you could have hoped it would be, and probably even more than that. And in the end, yeah, I dug this movie, and I'm excited to see where they go next. I never imagined I would be saying that after 3 Sonic movies, especially how it started. What a victory for this franchise. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video, and as always, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.